I did not do an analysis.
No further questions. Thank you, Deputy.
And Deputy, thank you for your time. If you could please grab Major Buchholz and
I will do that.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Are you able to hear us on this end?
Yes.
Okay, I think we've got good visual and sound on you. And sir, would you again state your name and spelling for the record?
Steve Buchholz. My last name is spelled Buchholz.
Thank you. And what is your current rank?
Major,
Okay. Major Buchholz, where are you employed?
Douglas County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed there?
Almost 25 years.
Okay. And were you employed as a major in 2019?
I would have been captain.
Okay. And at that time, were you familiar with Bradley Williams?
Yes.
And how is it that you were familiar with him?
He used to work for the Sheriff's Office. He transferred to Lawrence Police.
Okay. And did you have any supervisory duties over him at that time?
In 2019, no.
I'm sorry, when he worked for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, I was the captain over the patrol division.
Okay. And what was the nature of that relationship?
He was on a patrol shift. He had 2 supervisors over him, and then I was over the supervisors.
And were you aware of any concerns regarding the nature of Mr. Williams' policing?
We were. So we had several complaints over time. One of the last complaints was the supervisors came to me saying they had a concern that he was stopping more females and males. I asked them to look into that. They did. They came back with a number of 55% were females, 45% males. At that time, that didn't seem egregious to me. I mean, it's a college town. We didn't have anything else to go on but that, so that was really the end of it.
Were there any additional complaints that were investigated?
Objection overly broad beyond the scope of the hearing as stipulated to by counsel.
I'm sorry, were there any complaints about stops of females?
Yes.
And what was the nature of those complaints?
We had one specifically, I remember, I believe she was a dancer at a club. She had been stopped on 3 separate occasions by Mr. Williams, and she did make a complaint with us.
And was Mr. Williams ever subject to any disciplinary actions based on his stops that were stops of females?
Yes.
What was the disciplinary action?
So, in 2017, Mr. Williams, he was the training officer for a female deputy. They made a traffic stop of a 68-year-old female for impairment, placed her under arrest based on probable cause. He was reprimanded, referenced that stop, for failing to take charge as the senior deputy and failing to read Miranda. She was handcuffed in the back of the car. He questioned her without Miranda. Eventually unarresting her, they explained to her that she was unsafe to drive, and he let her drive away anyway.
Do you know why she was unarrested?
I think because of the age. They realized she was 68 years old.
And so was it believed that she wasn't impaired by drugs or alcohol?
Yeah, she was apparently on ibuprofen for a toothache and blood pressure medication.
Okay. After the reprimands, what was Mr. Williams' response to the reprimand?
I don't recall the response at the time. He did come back and ask me to dismiss that reprimand, and I denied that.
And then how much longer after the reprimand was he employed with the sheriff's office?
He left the sheriff's office in May of 2017.
And when was the stop that he was reprimanded for?
The stop was March 4th. He was reprimanded March 30th.
Okay. Later in 2019, did you have a conversation? At that time, Mr. Williams would have been with the Lawrence Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with anyone at the Lawrence Police Department about Mr. Williams?
I did.
What was the conversation?
Someone had, and I believe it was an attorney, had mentioned to me they had concerns that Mr. Williams was stopping or targeting females. And I don't recall who that attorney was, but I did go to Captain Casey Cooper with those concerns.
And Captain Cooper was with the Lawrence Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you visited, at some point did you speak with Lawrence Police Department Lieutenant Unruh about Mr. Williams?
Yes, I did.
And did you relay to Mr. Unruh that there had been concerns with Mr. Williams when he was employed with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, I did.
And what was the nature, or what did you express to him?
Expressed to him that we had complaints. There were concerns that he was stopping more females than males. And I told him that we couldn't prove that. We had the supervisors look into it. And like I said, the numbers were 55% female, 45% male. And that we didn't, at the time, we did not feel that was egregious.
Did you have concerns that there was something that was occurring that wasn't coming out in the numbers?
Yes.
And what was that concern?
Yes, we did. One of those concerns was in the stop of females as it related to impairment. Mr. Williams was a drug recognition expert. And watching the videos of those stops, we didn't notice anything. I mean, you couldn't clearly see impairment, but he was a DRE, and he saw things that we didn't see. But like the last female, her name was Watts. She'd been stopped 3 times by Mr. Williams. She did make a complaint. We looked at that, and we couldn't prove that she was not impaired.
So you had concerns that there was an impairment, but it wasn't anything that you could, clearly prove because you weren't on scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. For example, I think she was on Adderall at the time, prescribed Adderall. For us to say that she was impaired that night on Adderall, when it came back from the lab, of course there was Adderall in her system. Whether she was impaired on that or not, we just couldn't prove that.
And when you had the conversation with Captain Cooper about after an attorney mentioned something to you, did the Douglas County Sheriff's Office do any further investigation at that time?
No, ma'am.
Do you know if there was any documentation of that?
I don't.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Any member of the police department who has allowed himself to get out of condition will either get back into condition or be weeded out.